You're listening to the Impact Warrior Podcast. This podcast was created out of a vision to have like-minded entrepreneurs who have faced similar battles and understand how difficult entrepreneurship can be. We will feature guests who are here to share with you how rewarding the journey can be if you stay focused and disciplined to achieve the desires of your heart. Every business owner will face a certain level of difficulty at some point, regardless of the industry. And we are here to share with you the story of warriors who have knocked down massive walls to inspire you to keep fighting on this journey. Let's conquer the journey together. And here's your host, Casey Zeman.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Impact Warrior. And today, this is a DeKesha and Casey day. And we, anytime she and I get together, the webinar queen and the webinar
king.
That sounds so strange. But when we come together, we're really trying to think of how we can impact in a bigger way. And this is a strategic episode where we're going to dig into tactics, where this is not so much hearing about stories of our guests, but we're going to dig in and talk about the thing that has basically helped us in growing our companies, helped our clients and customers, and helped the people that we help impact others. And so we decided that we're going to do an episode on conversions. Dun, da, da, da.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yes. See, this is going to be awesome. When you get two people who really love to dive deep into the actual webinar and webinar strategy, this is what they come here for.
So you guys, this is a notes taking session. This is a watch a couple more times. We will have a training in the show notes that will go into a deeper training that will give you a little more insight than just like what she and I are going to be talking about today. I mean, this is going to be good, but I have a whole training that I do where I show steps and stuff like that. So we will have that in the show notes. It will be a part of this episode. So
I love it.
Yeah. What do you think?
I do. I'm excited because, even by reviewing the EasyWebinar group, and oftentimes when we are even when I'm online and I'm engaging online, I get these same questions every single time, right? And consistently, even in the group. And the number one question is, how do I get people, number one, to register for my event? Number two, how do I get them to show up to the event?
Yeah.
These are the famous questions that are always asked.
Well, and here's the thing. Times have changed. It's not like you're going to be able to it's harder to get, registrants. It's hard. You're not going to see 75% show up rate on a live webinar oftentimes because there's so much content that people are being fed all the time. So right now, it's much harder to be able to even, get found and seen and things like that. And so what we want to help you with is ways that you can do things kind of differently to get more people showing up to a workshop, showing up to a webinar, and staying on the webinar, and then, buying your product, right? Or signing up for a strategy call. I will say this. I was just on with a different, with one of our guests, and he was like, hands down, every time I try to take a webinar out of my funnel, we get poor quality of people coming through the funnel. Hands down, the webinars, no matter what, always convert better quality people. So webinars are there to get better quality in general, period. They are there as your sales indoctrination mechanism, okay? They might be 15 minutes, they might be an hour, they might be 2 hours, but they are needed pieces that are in your funnel. Now, so that answers are webinars dead, do they not work question. So because they do work. But now the question remains, it's gotten harder to make yourself, to first off, get people showing up to a workshop because of all the noise that they're getting. So what we wanted to do today is to help you get better show up rates for your webinars. Now with EasyWebinar, just to give everybody a little insight into this, with EasyWebinar, we still see about a 40% show up rate. In 2020, we did a peak in this. There was about a 45% show up rate for the webinars that our customers were having. We did about 9 million webinars in 2020 last year.
And that's really, really good. Like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but one of the things that I want you guys as listeners to understand is that industry standard for show rates are like 20-30% show rate, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So 40 to 45% show rate with EasyWebinar is phenomenal. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And I mean, there are things that you can do nowadays to where, you can get more people showing up to your webinar. But a part of that is also knowing where they're coming from. That's a big part of it. It's not just going to be about looking at a singular point of the journey. It's looking about the whole picture of the journey to understand where they're coming from, to know basically how to lead them to where they need to go. Right. And a lot of people, they'll just like throw up a live webinar and hope that people will come. And unfortunately, if it's like a cold traffic situation where they don't know you at all, you're not going to get as good of a show up rate, especially if you're missing a few things. And we will talk today about things that you can do to increase your show up rate if it's cold traffic. Get more registrants with cold traffic, increase your show up rate with cold traffic, and also how to where to put webinars in your funnel, basically, and talk about those pieces. So
one of the things too.
Go ahead, DeKesha.
Yeah, well, one of the things too we have to keep in mind is that our audience of who we are actually driving to the webinar. Mm-hmm. And so what I mean by that is, we're parents, right? So if someone is targeting us, we are parents. I can see an email and totally forget about it 25 minutes later. If my son calls me, if the phone rings, if anything happens. So we have to keep in mind that we have busy entrepreneurs in our funnels. We have parents in our funnels. Mm-hmm. So we have to get in front of them more than just one strategy. We cannot necessarily rely on just one strategy to remind them, hey, remember you did sign up for this masterclass or this training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the first job is to make sure that, you get in front of them so that you can know that you solve the problem that they have, right? That's getting in front of them. That's getting more eyeballs to your registration page. And a lot of that, some great strategies for getting more people to your registration pages is just doing more, getting in front of them, like doing videos. Like I think, fundamentally, it's what has always helped me get people showing up is video content. And the more I can create video content that will seed their problem and they get to know me a bit from video content, like short form video content that's going out there. Let's say I want to run a webinar 2 weeks from now. I would start by putting video content out there, micro content all around the problems that people have, and talk about those problems, dig a little deeper into the psychological issues that those problems can create, what manifests from those problems. Maybe you get your health is compromised, maybe your wealth is compromised, all the things that can happen from the problem existing in your life. And I do video content all about those problems. I also then say, the good news is I'm going to try to solve those problems. And I've solved those problems for myself and some of my clients, and I'm excited because I want to share that with you. So come to this workshop where I'm going to be teaching 5 fundamental things on X, Y, and Z, right? So the very first piece is, where do you meet your audience? Where the problem exists,
the value.
Yeah, exactly.
Provide the value.
You have to provide the value. The best way is the awareness. You're at the awareness point. You need to share with them that you understand and you are aware of their problem, and you dig in a little deeper so that they can uncover and face their problem. Maybe they didn't realize they had as big of a problem as they do, but you also have to uncover that with them, right? By digging deep into the psychology of what is manifested from the problem, health, a problem with health and wealth. You then uncover and make them realize even more that they have a problem, right? The more you do that, the more you see that you understand where they're coming from, the more they're going to sign up and realize that this is the thing that they need to come to solve that issue. And so, that's how I would start. I would put little micro content out there in Facebook.
I love it. So so what you're saying is you have to start with adding value. Mm-hmm. And one of the key pieces that can be missed or overlooked is because we hear so many people say, well, we need to do video content, but don't forget the call to action. What is the next step that you want them to take? Yeah. You want them to register for your masterclass, your webinar. And the other thing that is really important that I always say and I love, because it's all about your messaging, right? It's your messaging and how you position yourself. So one of the things that I say, and I challenge you to jot this down in your notes: promote the problem and service the solution. A lot of times we lead with the solution. Mm-hmm. Here is what I have. Here is what I'm going to share. Here's what I'm going to offer. And it's more about what's in it for them, not for you. So if you promote the problem, that allows them to raise their hand and say, well, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. That information that Casey just shared, I'm struggling with that. I need to register.
100%. And the other thing that people don't realize is that, micro content, when you have a medium that you are marketing yourself on, as we know, this year, the popular platform was Clubhouse, right? And then people were popping on Clubhouse and doing their Clubhouse sessions. The Clubhouse was the perfect place to talk about the problem and find other people that had the problem. We have tons of clients who were driving people from the problem that they were talking about on Clubhouse into a webinar. Now, if you think about it, that is kind of like the webinar becomes the middle of the funnel. If you think the top of the funnel is sort of Clubhouse, is where you're finding your people, finding the people interested, find the people that have the problem, and then you're driving them to the webinar. So the cool thing about that is that, when you create something like this, you're eventually creating something that you can systemize or systematize, whichever word you want to use. But a webinar doesn't always have to be live. Remember, with EasyWebinar and what we like to talk about, we talk about automated and evergreen webinars, where they are the mechanism for qualifying somebody on a deeper level. So you use Clubhouse as an example for getting people to resonate with you understanding the problem, and you said promote the problem. You're talking about the problem. You're highlighting it. You're going deep with people on what their issues and problems are, and then at the end of it, you're seeding the solution, and you're saying, by the way, go into my my Instagram description where you're going to get a masterclass that I'm running. Now, some of our clients will make that a live masterclass that they run on a weekly basis, right?
Right.
They're systemizing it. Some will also turn that into an automated webinar, which is a pre-recorded session that has the feel and experience of a webinar. So it's the medium of webinar still, but you're not having to be there. Both work, and both will turn people into customers and clients. So as DeKesha said, promote the problem, find the medium where you want to promote the problem, whether that's some sort of social media. I at one point, my big thing was YouTube a long time ago, where I would go and make videos in YouTube, and I'd invite people to a workshop after I talked about the problem a little. Are you experiencing X, Y, and Z? Then join me for this workshop. So you could do that in YouTube. You could do that in other points of social media. You could do it in Facebook. So find your place, LinkedIn, wherever you want, wherever your
LinkedIn
audience
Live now. So you can use, there's LinkedIn Live now. So you can definitely do videos from LinkedIn Live and drive traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that provides content, like LinkedIn articles are still like really relevant on that platform.
Yeah.
LinkedIn articles. So if you're not familiar with it, like they are super relevant on that platform. I know some of our users still use blog posts to promote their webinars. And I mean, it's just a matter of having that call to action in whatever platform, whatever medium that you choose. So if it's YouTube, if it's Facebook, if it's Clubhouse, I mean, I was on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I love Clubhouse, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, there are going to be different points where you test out different marketing strategies, right? But fundamentally, it's all about uncovering the problem, creating the awareness of the problem, uncovering that problem, and picking at that problem.
Ooh, that's the agitate.
It's the agitate the problem.
Yeah, that's the agitate.
It's that twisting of the knife that we all know is in us, that it's all about going deeper with, and I love doing this through storytelling, and a lot of people, people market in different ways. For me, I market my story, and I try to have my story relate to them by talking about what my problem was. Like I couldn't get my business off the ground. I was about to lose my house. My wife was like, "What's going on here? Are we making this happen or what?" I aggravate it by showing my relatability to the problem as well. And then if you do that, if you focus on really understanding the problem that your audience is having, and oftentimes it can be your own problem that you have experienced. You are, that maybe you've heard this before, but you are your audience, or you were your audience, right? Like 2 or 3 years ago type of thing, right? If you think about that, that gives you a baseline to start. And just remember your pain, remember it, and highlight it, show it, talk about it. Don't hide behind it. I think a lot of people, they don't like to get vulnerable. And that's one of the core issues of resonating with people.
Your audience. Yes, that's the connection point.
And they don't do it, and they don't get results, and they wonder why. And you have to be able to now get vulnerable. You have to be able to unlock those uncomfortable emotions that you had during that time that wasn't working for you. And you just have to be real. When you're real, that's when you see a result. When you're real, you'll get people registering. Okay. Show more of the reality of things. Be vulnerable. be authentic. It's fun. Those are fundamentals. You stick with the fundamentals of that. You don't hide behind fancy marketing language. You just get real with your audience. That will help you rise above all the noise out there of other people who are trying to do this that aren't taking those steps. That's the first thing, right?
That's absolutely the truth. And I couldn't say that anymore, because I mean, even my story, like I tell people, I talked to Chris Davis the other day, and we were catching up. And so I was telling him that I went on leave of absence in 2011. And I said that I'm still on leave of absence. That I told him it was the longest leave ever. He's like, what?
Yeah, I love that.
He's like, you need to go in a Guinness Book of World Record. But,
That's
you know,
really
at the end of the day, like when I share that story and I share that I left corporate America so that I could be home with my children. My daughter was starting the 6th grade.
Yeah.
My son was starting kindergarten. That immediately resonates with the mom that is still working in corporate America, who see themselves in me. So when you share your story, it's not necessarily it's you can't look at it as, oh, people are going to look at me differently because I face foreclosure, I filed bankruptcy. Like, everybody, trust and believe, the person next to you that's not saying anything probably filed too. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but it just makes you like authentic. You are human, because when we are on these platforms, people don't see the struggle. So you have to share the struggle, and you have to share your journey that you've been through, because one of the things that I say is perception is the new reality. So if you are online and, you know, you're promoting 7 figures and, you know, they don't see what happened then. They only see where you are now. So you have to share where you started to get to where you are now, so that they can see themselves in you and know that it's possible for them too. So important.
Perception is the new reality. Oh man, that's so funny, because my friend Paige just said that like 2 days ago on a chat. He was like,
it's so real though.
Yeah, it is real. And you need to, like, yeah, man, this is really important, because like I know my social media, like it looks way better than like people would rather hear your authenticness, what you're dealing with right now, than, you know, than your batched content that's going to be going out for tomorrow or the next day, which may not be all you. It might just be like an image with some quote that, and I have the same problem. I know on my social media, like I need to, like when I do my stories, when I show my family,
right.
It's a different, I get a different, there's more engagement when you do that versus this comment.
We love it. We love seeing you with your kids.
Huh?
We love it. We love seeing you with your kids.
Yeah. And exactly. And that's the thing. So, you know, if people are always like, oh, I got to do what these influencers are doing, where they're like taking these quotes and just putting them out there. No. Take an actual image of your life, write something that has, you know, that talks about a time that you were going through something, and do that, and recycle those moments. You know, you don't have to, it's not like you just make one post and you're done on it. You know, talk about those things, go ahead and go deeper, and find the medium that resonates with you, that you have time for. You know, like for me, I can't write out a thoughtful article or a post necessarily, but I can do a video and put it on my story, right?
I'm the same way.
Or when I'm walking around the block or talking to, but I need to do these again, because I need to get back into that.
See, these conversations are great for us too.
Reminders. You know, we have to beat it into our brains, because the fundamentals don't stop working. They always
never change.
Work.
They never change.
And even though you might scale up a bit, they still don't change.
They still are the same. Yeah.
They still don't change.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So don't worry. If you learn the fundamentals now, guys, you will, and you want to start scaling up, remember to keep the fundamentals. Okay. keep the mom and pop feel while you scale the growth. Okay. That's the thing. Try to show the intimacy. They have to feel like you have that intimate connection with them while you're also, getting a massive audience, right? So that's
And
number
don't be
one.
afraid to, yeah, no, absolutely. And don't be afraid to show the behind the scenes and connect it to what you're doing. So recently, well, most of my audience know exactly where I'm going to be on a Saturday. I'm in the football field, especially now. Right?
You're watching your son, yeah.
In my stories, you already know where I am. You know what day it is, okay? But what I've done is I've created a analogy on football, getting 10 yards, getting to the goal line, and I related that to business. So I have to look it up, but it's like your marketing is like, no, your systems are your D line. It's your defense. Like your systems that you have in your place is your D line, and your marketing is your O line. So your offense. Can y'all tell like I'm such a football mom?
Wow, it's amazing.
I'm totally a football mom.
I love it. I love it. But those are great analogies. Like, listen,
I'll let y'all use it 3 times, but you gotta give me credit 3 times, and then it's yours, okay? That's the only ask that I have. But but think about it though. So your operations is your defensive line, and it's going to keep the foundation, right? And it's going to stop the other people from gaining yardage. Your offensive line, which is the part that is supposed to be scoring, is all the marketing strategies that we're talking about. Perfect. My son would be so proud.
That was really good. But I also think that one thing I will say is that, you love football and you are that quintessential football mom. You've come up with, you've connected the dots from football to what you're doing and how you can talk to your audience too. Absolutely. Right. And so like, I remember when I would go, I would go do something. I forgot what I would. It's like if I go to the park and I see something happening and I'm feeding the ducks with some bread or something like that, I draw a line from the action that I'm doing based to something dealing with marketing, right? Or something around, that story. And the more you can do that, you just think creatively as to how you can relate the actions that you're doing on a daily basis, which can be a part of your story, which can be a part of like how you show up to people. You can relate everything back to your mission, which is of solving this problem that your audience is having, right? So you could do twofold. You could do that, it's like, hey, today I'm feeding the ducks, but this reminded me of X, right. So you're always seeding that, hey, this is where we're at type of problem. Okay.
So I have a challenge that I want our listeners to do. I'm excited. I just thought about it. So as you're listening, we want you to go into the EasyWebinar group, and we're going to make sure that the link is posted so you can go in there. But I want to give you an assignment. So you can tell I'm a teacher at heart. So I give assignments, every time I do something. I challenge you to go into the group and share your analogy story, because that's what it is. So whatever it is that you've done today, I don't care if you drive down the street, if you're picking up your kids, how do you relate it to what it is that you do in business? And we want you to share it in the group. I think that's kind of cool.
That's really good.
There you go. Love that.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, and I mean, obviously, they got to be EasyWebinar customers to come in that group, by the way.
See, that's what I'm saying.
All right. So you guys get the 14-day trial, and then come on into the group, and we'll challenge you and get you.
And now you have your first piece of marketing material to market your webinar.
Exactly. You have the software, and now you have your marketing material.
There you go.
Now we can keep going. We can go.
We solve problems.
We solve problems, people. That's what we do.
Solve problems.
This is what this is about. So now that we solve the problem of what do you have to do to get people to show up to your webinar, right? So, well, first, how do you get more people to register? You show up authentically. You show them the problem and that you have the solution. They come to your registration page. It highlights that problem again and the solution. And again, we have training. There's going to be a whole thing you can watch after this that goes a bit more into detail on this. It's going to be in the show notes. So, but keep watching this. Don't scroll down yet. Okay. Just
Don't leave yet. We're not done.
Yet. So the next thing is now that they registered, you got that first hurdle. Now it's the second hurdle. How to get them to show up. DeKesha, what do you think?
So there are several different ways. And this part, this is part of like my favorite part, especially using the software, EasyWebinar, because it's the reminder sequence.
Yeah.
Like I just told you, like I'm leaving from home. I'm going to pick up my son. My daughter's older, so she's in college, right? So she didn't count anymore. So you have to remind me. And here's what I like to remind. I like to always make a mental note of. Email sequences are awesome. Like we still do them, but you have to remember that email is like what, an 18 to 20% open rate. So based on your list, you have to do the calculations. The numbers never lie. In this space, the numbers never lie. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to rely heavily on one particular method or methodology to get them to show up.
Right.
So we use a combination of several different like strategies. Email marketing is just one strategy, but you have to remember about 15, 18%, maybe even 20% on a good day. We had something the other day was 25%, but it was all about the title. But that's another conversation for another day. And then texting is my favorite. I know I went through your funnel and I got your text messages as well. So text messages are the next best option. And I love that we can send out a reminder sequence. Like I have a tendency, I send them out to like an hour before or 15 minutes before. I send them out to say I'm live. Like, y'all better be jotting this down in your notes, okay? Like, and then I even use like bots, like messenger bots. You have to be very careful with them, but they still work. You just have to stay engaged with your bots. But we've had a registration button to stay updated via Facebook Messenger on our confirmation page. So we've collected several contacts in our Facebook bot system, plus our text messaging system, plus our email system. So now they're getting 3 different ways of reminder that I'm getting ready to go live. And I use the same strategy when I do my videos, like my live marketing videos as well.
You push it through like a messenger. It's important. Like, so with like, as an example, with EasyWebinar, right? They register for the webinar. After that, they're coming to a thank you page. Now with EasyWebinar, you have your own thank you pages there, right? One thing that is so underutilized is the thank you page, because on this page, there's a few things you can do. You can have a video that reminds them of why they need to be showing up, right? That video, you constantly have to sell people back into the reason that they have to show up. So one thing that you should do is remind them, hey, this is the reason you need to be showing up to this workshop. We've seen these results when people have shown up. It's almost like you can put possibly even like a little like seed the possible like a testimonial or the result of having the solution, right? So it's like your future pacing is kind of what it's called, like future pacing of what your life could be like if you do what I'm going to show you on the workshop, right? Future pacing is a very powerful thing because it helps them visualize where they could possibly be. If you start doing that right on the thank you page, it helps people to say, I got to show up. I want what they're talking about. So you do that, you have to basically sell them on this concept of showing up by doing the future pacing, remind them where they need to go. let them know housekeeping stuff like, hey, you're going to get reminders from me. So just keep an eye on your email. Make sure you drag your email. If it's, you can check spam folder, drag it into your main inbox type of thing. Click the save the date on this page. It will automatically add a save the date in your calendar. With EasyWebinar, we have auto calendar links that will pop right into their Google, iCal or Google Calendar. Make sure you say that in that video and get them to do it. Okay. And then another thing that DeKesha just pointed out, the whole messenger thing. One thing that we've done is we would oftentimes say in the video, hey, and I have a special thing for you. You click below, you'll see that there's you can confirm that you want to get notifications from Messenger for the webinar. But once you click that, I also have a PDF I'm going to give you. As soon as you come in, I have a workshop for the webinar. Once you go into Messenger, you're automatically going to get that workshop. So you can bribe them to unlocking the Messenger option by saying, come in, when you click on it, I'm going to give you like a worksheet that you can fill in the notes, or I'm going to give you, before the webinar even starts, three tips or 3 strategies for doing X, Y, and Z, right? Before the webinar even starts. So click on that. Then what that does is that fires off those messenger bots, right? That are going to remind them when the webinar.
I love the free gift for the phone number.
Yeah.
The phone number is important.
And you're going to take a phone number. I mean, I would personally take a phone number right off the registration page. A lot of people, they want the easy email. But for me, everybody puts fake emails in nowadays. And, I even though you may not get as many people registered, if you put a phone number in, or you even have a message, or you even have another custom form that says, are you this, or this, off the registration page, I know it adds more barriers. Yeah, like almost like a drop down. Like we could add. Sometimes we used to add a drop down. Like, are you a coach or consultant? Are you a service-based business, or are you, a marketing agency looking to scale up, right? So we add those. The reason we add those is because we do want the barriers. Sometimes a barrier is not a bad thing, because
say that again.
Yeah, yes. Because oftentimes you might not get as many people registering, but the people that do register, that will put in their phone number, their problem is great enough, right? They understand their problem great enough to where they're like, I need to solve it. I want to do it. You may not get as many people through the funnel, but those who are coming in are better quality. So
I'll take quality over quantity any day.
Absolutely. Any day. Yeah. I mean, especially if let's say off of a webinar, you're driving people to a strategy call or sales call or conversation, you're going to want more quality people, qualified people that you resonate with, that aren't, tire kickers. So I don't have a problem with having a phone number field from my registration page. So with EasyWebinar, you can add phone number fields, you can add custom fields with drop downs that can also be fired off into your own CRM. So you can know and see, oh, hey, these people are service-based business. These people are, consultants and coaches. Oh, these people, they're SaaS founders, right? So however you want to, you can segment, and that's a very powerful piece. So doing that, those two things, the video, letting them know about the calendar link, having a potential, PDF or guide that, you can seed through Messenger. Now, you don't have to use Messenger. If you don't want to, you can just, go ahead and just use the video, and even possibly, the whole goal is to get people to the workshop. So if you even have a bribe to get them to the workshop, that's fine too.
If it's working,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So sometimes what we would say is like, on the video, on your thank you page video, you could say something like, and when you show up to the workshop, I'm going to be delivering a free a worksheet that you can fill in, or I'm going to be delivering to you when you show up to the workshop, an audit. We're going to be able to audit your business when you show up. As soon as you show up, I'm going to give you this you can fill in the blank audit sheet, and you're going to go through and do this workshop while on this webinar. Okay. Or you're going to fill in this worksheet while on the webinar. So this is a very interactive webinar, right? So you can actually try to bribe them by saying, when you do this, I'm going to give you this thing that's going to help you achieve the results you want. So that helps to get them to show up.
Yep. Added layer of value. I love it.
And another thing is, depending on where they're showing up, and DeKesha can speak on this too, but depending on where they're coming in from, if let's say they don't know you all that well, you need to take these steps so they get to know you. Mm-hmm. And a couple other things you can do is, before your webinar starts, you can seed your authority by in those welcome emails, right? Or those pre-notification. Yeah,
what they call them? The indoctrination.
They're nurture. They're kind of like nurture sequence, where you have like 3-4 emails going out before your webinar starts.
I actually tell my story in those, and it's broken up. Mm-hmm. Where it says, like, the first email comes out, but it says, stay tuned for tomorrow's email. And that series has received, I get so many people that actually clicks and respond back to me about the story. And so you got to remember, like, when they click back to you, that's helping your email system to say that email, that person is actually engaging. So your deliverability actually increases. Mm-hmm. So it actually is an added layer of benefit to have that nurturing sequence for every webinar.
Absolutely. And the nurture sequence, the cool thing is that, depending on, let's say this is a live webinar, right? And it's several days in the future. The nurture sequence is there so you can like make sure they show up, because they're getting to know you over that time. So being able to close on the deal is going to be much easier. If you're selling a mid-ticket or high-ticket program, you can be able to do that in a more effective way because you've done this nurture. Now, when you're driving cold traffic into, say, like an automated webinar, and the automated webinar, and you have that automated webinar start right away, because you can, with EasyWebinar, you can do what's called a right on time webinar, where as soon as they show up, there can be a webinar streaming in the next 15 minutes. The good and bad of that is that you get more people registered, but they may not watch the webinar all the way through because they don't know you well enough. They haven't gone through that nurture sequence. Yes, you still have that thank you video that still talks about the problem, and you can use the thank you video in a deeper way to do the future pacing and the authority seeding and stuff like that. But without those nurture emails, sometimes you can get into a position where they might show up, but they might leave quicker. They may not stay. They'll show up, but they'll leave. But so for a cold traffic, so going to cold traffic and sending them to an automated webinar, what sometimes I do, and this is kind of a bit more advanced. Okay. So I'm just talking about more advanced stuff. I will have my automated webinars I will not let somebody watch my webinar the day they hit the registration page. So they hit the registration page. I will show them a webinar that's happening tomorrow or the next day and say, this is the one you can register for. Because then that gives me time to send my indoctrination and my nurture emails, right? And now I can send my 3 videos out, let's say, right? Or my 2 videos, or whatever you may have, right? That show your secrets and show who you are. And then that way, now you get more people showing up you get less people showing up to your webinar as compared to the webinars that are streaming like in the next 15 minutes. Right. But of the people that do show up, they stick around. They are going to be staying on the webinar longer because you've done the job of seeding your authority. So, I think
I always like to add the numbers in, because the numbers are so important when you are when you're managing and you're looking to see what's working in your funnel. Like KPIs are so important. Yeah. So if you haven't noticed yet, I'm huge on the KPIs. Okay.
You love KPIs.
So one of the things that I want you guys to understand is that 30 to 40% of the people that show up to your webinar will become your potential client. I think I need to say that again. So what Casey is telling you is he's giving you the strategies for them to register. We're giving you the strategies for them to show up. It is so important for you to understand that even though they like 50% may or may not buy, but what you have to understand is that they're now in your funnel and they're now in the consideration phase. They may come to that same webinar 3 or 4 times and hear something different. But 30 to 40% of the people that show up, they will become your potential client. They may close in 2 days. They may close in 7 days. They may close in 3 years, but they're in your funnel and they are now in the consideration phase of the journey, and they're paying attention. And when they have identified that the pain is so severe enough for them to click the buy button. So I think it's crucial to understand that piece too.
Yeah. And that's really important because, people buy off the webinar. The webinar is the thing that's going to get people to take action. And a lot of people, they'll think their webinar doesn't work, and they'll throw away the whole webinar, here's an example. I've seen people get rid of basically change around their whole webinar when they have a problem with people showing up and getting to the point of where the offer is made, right? If you have a problem with getting people to see the offer, then there's something fundamentally wrong with the starting part of your webinar. But if the people that are sticking around to your offer, if those people who see your offer are buying, and let's say it's 10 to 15 to 20% of the people that see the offer actually buy, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's not bad at all. And a lot of people, they'll change the offer thinking that they're looking only at the sales and not thinking about, they're looking at the overall numbers and not dialing into those deep details of the people that were at this point of when I made the offer, how many did buy.
Yep.
So if that number looks good, then you don't have an offer problem. You have a how I'm resonating to keep people on my webinar problem, right? And that's basically more around the messaging and around are you showing the problem? Are you highlighting the problem enough? Are you does the value sharing is it hitting home enough? Are you going over their heads? That's half the time people, they leave because they are overwhelmed by the content you're providing. So they may just walk away, So you have to, when you're looking at, how to now keep people on your webinar, you have to understand the different parts of what makes a quality webinar, right? And part of it is, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, we probably can't do that all in this one, right?
Yeah, that's a good one though.
How long have we been on this one? Yeah.
I have no idea.
That would be too long.
Quality and profitable webinars. I like that.
That should be our next one. Like the structure of a high converting sales webinar, right? What are the fundamental structures of the high converting sales webinar? Because when you have those pieces, everything comes into play. And here's the thing that's true: whether you sell off a webinar, a mid-ticket program, or your pitch or your offer changes to, say, book a call, the first part of the webinar is basically going to be about the same.
Yep, pretty much.
You're getting people through the transformation, right? That's really what your goal is. You're trying to show them, you're showing them, you're connecting with them on a heart and logic level, heart with your story that resonates with them, logic that your offer and your flow and your framework makes sense. And if you can do both of those two things and show value and authenticity at the same time, and then by the time you get to your pitch, you should be able to sell, right? Now, it's easier to get people, to book a call versus buy a product, even though the romantic notion is, man, I want to sell my course off this webinar. I want to be able to sell the one-to-many. Everybody's buying my $1,000 product. I just want to be able to do this, and I didn't have my one-to-many sales done. Now, it can happen, but you have to go through the mastery of it to get there. And
it's a process.
Yeah, and it's a process.
It's a science.
There's more room for error when you can get people on a call. If you can book people into a strategy call from a high impact webinar experience, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour long, then you can, then sell them into a $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 program. You now have proof of concept, and now it's just about really mastering that too, really honing that in. So
this was good.
Yeah. I feel like we should maybe do the next one all about the webinar, maybe webinar strategies, like how to create a high converting sales webinar. I have a training on that too.
We're going to give that away next time.
Yeah, maybe we should just.
And we'd love to hear yours too, your feedback on what you'd like to hear too.
Yeah, what would you like to hear, listener, viewer, listener?
Viewer, listener.
Yeah.
All of the above.
All of the above. So we'll leave it at that. But our goal today was to kind of talk about how to get more people showing up to the web, how to get people registered, and then now how to get people showing up to the webinar, because those are two fundamental things that people are having problems with, right? Yeah, and it takes a little more nowadays, but at the same time, when we say takes a little more, you have to just be more thoughtful of one's journey. But we will say this, that what has always worked will continue to work, which is connecting with your audience on resonating with them, knowing what their pain is and problems are. And as DeKesha said it best, promoting that problem.
Yeah. Promote the problem, service the solution.
Service the solution. There, it's right there. She just gave it to you guys.
I tell people that is the magic to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the magic to marketing.
People,
I want to see that one. Tag me. Tag Casey.
Yes, I mean, people mostly think, magic of marketing is knowing all the tech and no, the magic of marketing is being able to.
Yeah, if your messaging is off, it doesn't matter what platform you're on.
It's scaling the messaging. You need to have that dialed in message first. You need to know fundamentally the ache of your audience. So you don't know that ache, that pain, then you have to go back.
Got some homework to do.
You got some homework
to do.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you have some research, marketing research. Is that
marketing research, product marketing fit?
When I was in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, I didn't go to school for this. Come on. This
Like,
is
I don't even, like, that
hard
was
knocks.
so long ago. Like, it was
Yeah.
in business, so I don't know.
Oh, see,
I don't
okay,
even know if
you
I
did.
used that.
Yeah, I
I did.
yeah,
I went to I have an MBA, but like what? That still did not teach me half of the things that I know about business now.
well, yeah, I mean, but that's
no.
you still much farther along than I am. I only got my bachelor's, and that was in a fine arts department. So come on.
Listen, mine was in fashion.
Well, so there you go. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, you have think creatively. I think all entrepreneurs are kind of like they kind of have to have this creative sense to them. They have to start whether it's start creative and then roll in the business acumen. Is that a word, right? The acumen, business acumen, the understanding, they have to gain that with time, but the creative helps them see a different way to come at it, and I think that's important. So
Balance.
so good. I'm glad that you have that creative too.
Yes, I do. I didn't think so, but I love fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you I started a shoe company online back in 2010.
Did you?
Can y'all believe that? Yeah, it's called sassyshoegallery.com.
I'm gonna look it up. Sassy. I'm writing that down right now.
I did. I used to sell shoes.
That's so cool.
That's how I started as an entrepreneur.
And it really is about like application. Like you have to do it to know it.
Well, for me, that was completion. Like I wrote a business plan.
Yeah.
I went out and received funding, like $30,000 in funding to start this business. Like I didn't start a business. Oh, wow. And it was all about completion. And I used some of the funding. This was before I found out about drop shipping. Like this is a whole nother, but I used half of the funding to buy shoes. But it was a matter of, I was able to complete something. I put my mind to something. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it through to the end. And I built an online shoe company. This was back when Kim Kardashian had just released, what is it called? Shoe Dazzle or something like that. Mm-hmm. And Just Fab with Kamorley. So this is, oh my God, I feel like I'm aging myself in this space. No. But that's how long ago it was. So that's how I started in the entrepreneurial space. And people started to ask me, what did you do to get a business loan? And I started writing business plans, but I hated that. Oh my God. Yeah. And then I started consulting.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's amazing is that you said you had an idea and you went and you followed it through to completion. That's the thing that you have to realize is that your idea can actually happen. What stops most people is they think, oh, that won't work.
That didn't work. Yeah, that didn't work.
Like they stop themselves before they can keep it going. But like, that's always a good reminder of, follow, look inward into what you want and what you want to create and trust that you have, that you can solve the problem and you can become, you can be the visionary and bring that idea forward. And I think most people, a lot of people, they just stop themselves from allowing that to happen. And if we just connected the dots more and said, yes, I can do that. And I can trust my own intuition that I can do that, it would just be so much better. So we're here to be a soundboard for you. We want you to trust your intuition. We want you to trust that you have the vision and you can make that vision happen. We're here for you. So
I love it.
If you have self-doubt, get rid of that doubt. If you're hanging around people that are throwing doubt your way,
come on,
stop hanging out. Don't hang out with those people. I'm just saying.
Let them go.
Yeah.
We're on a mission. Yeah. We're on a mission. We're on a mission for completion.
Yes. I like that.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
All right. What do you think?
It's been great, guys. I always say, it's been great. My name is DeKesha Williams, your virtual COO. Be passionate, be purposeful, but always be profitable.
Love it. See you guys. We'll see you in the next episode.
Absolutely.